Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make rock slings for super cheap. So first you're going to want to go and find someone's apron that they're not using, preferably while they're distracted and don't notice that it's gone missing. Then you're going to want to take it, fold it out, and you're going to want to cut it into strips that are about this size. I generally measure it as from the tip of my middle finger to just above the base of the palm. You can get away with slightly longer or slightly shorter, but anything too far out of that range and it gets slightly difficult to handle. Then you're going to want to go ahead and decide on the length you're going to make it, and you'll make it a little bit longer just so that you can get some knots in there so you can properly grip it before you release it. Depending on what range you want is depending on how long the string is going to be. So generally I cut it roughly the length of my forearm for like short to mid range, and I'll cut it the length of my entire arm for long range. So this one right here will be able to lob rocks probably like a good 100-150 meters if you give it a good spin with the right rock. You can easily get probably, I'd say, around 300 meters out of one that's full arm's length, and obviously it's variable depending on your strength and whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and take this apron, which was made from some poor unsuspecting cow, and we're going to go ahead and snip it, and we'll just decide on what length of rocks you're going to be using. This can kind of depend on whereabouts you're getting your rocks. So I like to make it roughly 3 fingers as the dimension, so this is just sort of relative to everyone, so that when you're making it you just sort of measure it based on your own body parts, and that way you don't have to go by some complicated set thing. There's no real set thing, you can alter it just about as much as you want. You don't want to make it too wide. I have made wide ones before, unless you're using like a heavy lobber, like you want to lob a rock that's the size of a small basketball, then you might want to make a big one, but that's normally just if you're building a trebuchet, and I haven't built one of those in a long time. So we're going to go ahead and cut all of this out here. I should be able to get 2 rock slings out of this one sling. Let's go ahead and do this. And you also notice that inside the leather we want to have this little slit in here, and this is actually so it can grip the rock before it lets go. There's a few different designs you can do. You can actually make a rock sling out of nothing but string just by folding it all fancy with knots and whatnot, but I like to use a nice piece of leather when I can afford to. And you can see that based on the length here we should be able to get two out of this one strip of leather, and I'm just going to make them equal size by folding it in half here, and then I'm going to go ahead and snip it. Pretty simple. A good pair of scissors makes this a lot easier. And then we're going to want to cut the holes first for the string to go in. And the way that I like to do that is just fold it in half like this. You take the leather and you fold it, and then just a little way from the edge so that it's not going to tear open, I'm just going to snip down with the scissors like that, and that'll make the perfect little hole. And we go over to the other side, we fold it in half again. I'm just going to snip into here like so. We don't want too much room on the outside here, but we don't want this to be so thin that it just comes undone under the forces of swinging the rock sling around. So once we've got our main stuff there, we're going to go ahead and make a second fold. We're going to fold it this way this time. It's just like a big old game of origami, and we're going to snip it in the middle, and we're going to make this big old cut right up the middle here, but not all the way, just to within about a finger's length of the rope hole. We can go and take it out. Now we've got our nice little mouth. Hello, I have been made. Anyway, once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and get some string from my big old trusty rope that I've compressed my string roll into. And you can, it pays to sort of have the ends really quite nice and tight. So if you've got these frayed bits, you can either go to the trouble of sealing them with a lighter or retwisting them or whatever, but I'm just going to cut it for now because we've got enough string that I don't have to conserve it like it's water in the desert. And we're going to have to decide which side we want it to fling from. So I normally have the rough side, or not the rough side, sorry, the tanned side of the leather holding the rock, just because it's a little bit stronger than the not tanned side. So if so, we're going to come up from underneath the rough side of the leather. If you've got two-sided leather. Some leather you'll have it tanned on both sides, but this one's only one-sided. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this through here, and then we're going to go ahead and just do a little knot. Now for these knots I normally like to go around and then under, and I just do a single granny knot for the first lock, and then I go around and then I go down. Wait, sorry, my bad. Where are we? Make a little loop first, and we go around the tree and then through the rabbit hole and then back around the tree and then back through the rabbit hole, and this is just to make it nice and tight so it's not going to come undone at some critically important moment right before there's a dude with a sword running at you. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to decide how long we're going to make this. And for this one I've decided to make this actually a long range sling, so I'm going to be making it roughly the length of my entire arm. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my arm here, I'm going to lie down like this, and then I'm going to see that this is roughly the length of my arm. I'm going to remember that it's about here. I'm going to add a little bit of extra room to add a slip knot for one hand, because with the long range slings you don't really want a tiny little loop. So this tiny little loop is the loop that I use on this rock sling, and this normally just goes around my first two fingers. But if I'm using a heavy rock sling that's got just a ton of weight inside it, and you know, the sort of amount of force that could pull your shoulder out of joint, I like to wrap it around my whole arm so I don't take a finger off. I'm going to go ahead and make the slip knot. And this side of the rock sling is going to be the side. Sorry, before I do this, I'll just show you what I'm doing here. For those of you who may not know how to do a slip knot, it's pretty easy. You just go around the main first string here and you just tie this end to itself like this. I normally only seal this with like a double granny knot, and then it'll slide to fit your hand perfectly just like that. And now that we've got one end done, we can move on to the second end. This string isn't the best. I found that actually just a shoelace is pretty good, because paracord is quite strong, although it can cut into your fingers, and that's what this cotton rope is nice for, is it doesn't cut your fingers as much as the other one. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and put the other end of this string that's on here in. Again, I'm going to do a granny knot. You can probably guess where this is going from now. You probably don't need to keep watching this video unless you're just bored and like the sound of my voice for some reason. But I'm going to continue with the tutorial anyway. I'm going to make a loop, go around into the hole. Wait, no, I'm doing it wrong. Goes into the hole, and then it goes round the tree, and then back into the hole. There we go. And then we pull it tight, and it should be pretty tight, like that. I want it to come undone. And then we're just going to fold it in half like this, and bring this all the way back, and then where the slip knot reaches its end, we're going to go ahead and take an extra inch or so, maybe a couple inches. I'm going to snip it. And now comes the knot tying bit, and this is just for different sized stones. So depending on what size of stone you're using, and how much it bends the fold here, you're going to want to have at least 3 knots, I would say, on the end. This one here has 1, 2, 3, it's got 5 knots here, and it's all for different size stones, so that you can sort of adjust it, because sometimes you just want to lob like a tiny little pebble, and then other times you want to use a big rock that's quite heavy, or a piece of lead, and it really pays to have knots at different points. So I'm going to go ahead and tie just a few knots towards the end, and this is going to really help in releasing the stone from the right point, because if you get it even slightly off and you grab it by the wrong knot, it'll just come out of the sling before it's even left. So that's not always that ideal. Okay, so now we've got a big old scary rock sling. You can tell that it's a big old scary rock sling because when you hold your arm up to the bottom, it is on the ground, and you actually have to lift your arm parallel for it to not be on the ground. This thing will have a terrifying range. Matter of fact, I'd be more scared of someone with one of these than I would be with someone who's got a pistol. more damage than a pistol, probably. Chances are it's got unlimited ammo if you're anywhere with lots of rocks. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. It's a pretty long tutorial. I may as well give a demo of how probably not necessary. I'll take this camera stand so I don't have to awkwardly hold the camera with one hand while I'm doing it, even though I might do that anyway. So first you just kind of want to dodge anyone who might catch you with it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then come outside and down the path, and now we've made it to a small pile of rocks. Put the camera in the stand. So when you're wanting to select rock, you want an oblong shaped rock ideally, but a round one will do just fine. This is the shape that you're looking for that's literally perfect. This is a literal perfect bullet stone. This will do a lot of damage. But for now I think we'll just take this semi-precious gemstone of jasper and pretend that it's just gravel, and load this in like this. Keep tension on it and adjust to the right knot. So now I'm holding it on the 4th knot at the moment, and that seems about right. Now I'm going to just walk on the grass with my socks, which is an incredibly uncomfortable experience, just so that I don't hit anything. And I'm going to sling this, just going to make sure there's no one on the beach. I don't think there's anyone on the beach. And we're going to whip this round. Actually, I'm going to put the camera on the stand here, and then I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'll be able to catch it properly, but we'll see. Here we go. Alright. So that was in the air about 5 seconds before it came down. And I would estimate that it travelled probably around 300 meters. It's not quite in the water, but actually no, it may have landed in the water. But I think it landed on the rocks over there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.